Well, we are pleased to have back in our studios again our dear friend Charles McElwee. He is the Vice President of the Board of Directors for the Greater Hazleton Historical Society and Museum, always bringing us important information on our history. This time talking about the 100th anniversary of Philadelphia's Benjamin Franklin Parkway. How is that connected to us? I'm sure you're going to tell us.
Perhaps I'm straining a bit, but there is a connection. So I just wrote a piece in the American Conservative about the 100th anniversary of the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. It's that beautiful boulevard you see that leads to the Art Museum. That, if you look at the iconic photos of Philadelphia, you can't help but miss that flag line boulevard between City Hall, Logan Circle, and the museum. And that was an immigrant neighborhood before the boulevard was constructed, the Parkway was constructed in 1917. And that was over a half-century endeavor, a civic project that, despite an era of rampant corruption in the city of Philadelphia, during the progressive era, they hoped to create something that would be reminiscent of the European streets that you would see in London, Paris, or Vienna. But that was an immigrant neighborhood that attracted Irish immigrants from Connaught and Ulster, the provinces of Ireland. And if they did not stay in that neighborhood, they typically would follow the Schuylkill River, which we see along Boathouse Row, all the way to the headwaters, which lead to northern Schuylkill County and the Banks Township area and greater Hazleton area. So if they were not working in the mills and factories of Philadelphia, those immigrants would skip Philadelphia and continue northward to work in the anthracite mines of the Hazleton area.
So now, not only did the immigrants come here,
Right.
but the architecture kind of followed here as well.
Right, so the Parkway itself is an example of the City Beautiful movement, which was popularized during the progressive era. And really, it's the neoclassical architecture, Beaux-Arts architecture you see that was inspired by the Roman and Greek temples. And it got its start really at the 1873 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, which was held by the American Banking Association, which they reconstructed what would be almost like a Roman village. So you get the Art Museum in Philadelphia, you get a number of other buildings, including the Franklin Institute, and in Hazleton, that architectural style inspired not only City Hall, but the library, which was commissioned by the Markle family, and what will be the Art Center in downtown Hazleton, what was a Security Savings Bank building, another, if you pass it, it looks like a Greek or Roman temple, yet again reminiscent of that movement which was sweeping larger American cities in the late 19th and early 20th centuries and then spilled over into smaller cities like Hazleton during that period. So when next time you go to Philadelphia and you're walking, the problem with the Parkway is it's not very pedestrian friendly. So this article is actually also a critique of how a lot of what they had hoped the Parkway to be never came about. Exactly. So, but you can certainly see the architecture that you would see in Philadelphia. Always remember that when Hazleton's leaders were constructing downtown Hazleton at the height of the coal industry, they were looking to Philadelphia in terms of the scale, in terms of the buildings they wanted to construct and the styles that they wanted to replicate.
Very interesting, as usual, with our Charles McElwee here from the Greater Hazleton Historical Society and Museum. If you want to know more about the local history, you can go to hazletonhistory.org. You can also make a donation there to help out the organization. And Charles is back each week to tell us more about the area's history.